You ever have one of those days where you realize the universe really does have a sense of irony? Because let me tell you, 3 years ago, I was just a guy trying to enjoy my first weekend in the house I'd built with my own two hands. A place I'd worked my ass off for. A slice of the American dream complete, with a perfect cerulean blue pool shimmering under the kind of sky that looks painted on. I was stretched out on a lounge chair, sunglasses on, water humming, feeling the world finally slowed down, when my private sanctuary got invaded by the human embodiment of white entitlement. Helmet hair, navy blazer, attitude set to old money me. She didn't bother with a knock or even a neighborly hi. No, she stormed straight up to my pool and spat out. "This isn't a charity for your kind. Collect your welfare check and get out before I call the authorities." I mean, right out the gate, she went nuclear. I blinked, heart thudding, adrenaline on full blast, wondering if I'd accidentally built my dream home on the set of a bad Lifetime movie. IT took everything I had to stay calm. See, I've sat through enough brutal client meetings as an architect to know that raising your voice only hands power to the bully. So I stood up, slow, deliberate, all 6'2" of me, in trunks and a tee, and told her, as calmly as I could, "Ma'am, you're trespassing. You need to leave." She laughed, this nasty, gravel-in-the-gut laugh, waving her arms like a deranged cruise director and claiming my pool was a community asset. She said I was a vagrant, a squatter, and, the new neighborhood grift must be black folks moving in and claiming property. That's when it hit me. She was never going to back down, because this wasn't about a pool or a fence or a deed. It was about who she thought belonged and who didn't. Next thing I know, she's dialing 911, voice quivering, announcing to the dispatcher that a very large, very threatening black man had broken into her backyard. My backyard. She rattled off my address like she owned it. I could hear the police sirens in the distance, that familiar, cold dread crawling up my spine. Every black man in America knows that script. But I wasn't about to let her write it alone. I hit record on my phone and sat back down, ready to let her star in her own reality show. The first officer arrived, cautious, hand near his weapon, eyes flicking between me, the pool, and this lady in a blazer who was practically foaming at the mouth. Before I could say a word, she launched into a performance, tears and all, painting herself as a victim and me as some kind of home-invading monster. The cop turned to me. "Sir, can I get your name and an explanation?" I gave it to him straight, my name, my address, and the facts. That this was my home, my deed was inside, and I had video of her trespassing and harassing me with racist insults. She shrieked, accused me of forging everything, and called herself president of the Homeowners Association, which, honestly, sounded more like a Marvel villain origin story at that point. Here's where it got wild. She had no proof, no paperwork, just this laminated community trust document she'd made herself, complete with a fake title and a Microsoft Word watermark. Another cop arrived, a grizzled, no-nonsense type named Gable. He took one look at her evidence, flipped it over, and deadpanned. "Ma'am, this isn't a legal document. You're trespassing." She lost it, started screaming about conspiracies, demanding my arrest, all but melting down in the backyard. Gable wasn't having it. He laid it out. I had the deed, she had nothing, and if anyone was getting arrested, it was her. He even asked if I wanted to press charges, and I'll admit, for a second, I wanted to. But looking at her, small, defeated, clutching her laminated nonsense, I realized the win wasn't getting her locked up. It was taking back my peace. I told the cops I just wanted her gone. Gable nodded, told her to leave, and, just like that, the dragon slunk back to her cave. You think that's the end, right? Not even close. A week later, I get a letter from the HOA listing a laundry list of violations and fines, $45,000 worth, retroactive, for everything from my fence to my pool. All signed by the same woman who'd apparently decided that if she couldn't claim my property, she'd bankrupt me out of it. It was so transparent it would have been funny if it weren't so menacing. That's when I stopped playing defense. I called a lawyer, Arthur, a bulldog with silver hair and a gleam in his eye. He didn't flinch. When he saw the fake violations, the racist confrontation caught on video, and her wild paper trail, he grinned. This isn't just harassment. This is federal, he said. We sue her, the HOA, and drop the hammer. And, man, did we. We filed for an injunction, started discovery, and within weeks, the dirty laundry came tumbling out. Fake companies funneling HOA money to her family, bogus fines, emails plotting to crush me, you name it. Neighbors who'd been silent for years started coming forward. People fined for basketball hoops, for vegetable gardens, for trash cans left out after a funeral. It turned out I wasn't the only target, just the latest. We held a secret meeting at my house, and suddenly the whispers became a chorus. They recalled the board, voted her out, demanded an audit. For the first time, this place felt like a real community, not a kingdom run by a petty tyrant. But the real twist? Deep in the discovery, Arthur's paralegal unearthed a secret older than any of us. The land my house and 9 others sat on was originally supposed to be public parkland, stolen by her late husband with a shady land deal decades ago. Her family had built their fortune and her sense of entitlement on a crime. When the story broke in the press, it was a nuke. The county, the state attorney, even the feds got involved. Suddenly, the woman who'd tried to throw me out for being an outsider was exposed as the ultimate outsider, a thief who'd robbed the whole community that it all came crashing down. She lost her job, her fortune, her home. The taxes on the stolen land alone would bankrupt a small country. Her name, once on the clubhouse, the playground, the street, was erased. The new HOA board sent a formal apology and rewrote the bylaws to make sure nothing like this could ever happen again. And me? I got my piece back, but it was different now. I wasn't just the guy with the pool. I was part of something. My neighbors became friends. We started hosting block parties, planting gardens, turning the crime scene into a place where laughter and the smell of barbecue replaced suspicion and fear. A few years on, that pool became the site of the annual community picnic, a real community, not one based on power or exclusion, but on respect and shared struggle. Kids splashing, grown-ups laughing, the kind of scene I'd once only dreamed about. I see her sometimes, in my memory, the woman in the blazer. Alone, haunted, still convinced she's the victim of some cosmic injustice. But the truth is, her story ended exactly as it began. Consumed by her own hate, exiled by her own hand. That's the thing about karma, you know? Sometimes it takes the long way around, but it always lands right where it's supposed to. So here I am, sitting on my lounge chair by the pool, a drink in hand, surrounded by a community built not on fear, but on the hard-won foundation of standing up, together, against the worst the world can throw at you. And if that's not justice, I don't know what is. So what do you think? Was it justice? Was it enough? Would you have done the same? Or gone even further? I want to hear your take. Drop your thoughts below. Because maybe, just maybe, we're all the guardians of our own little sanctuaries, and the stories we share might just change the world, one backyard at a time.